and welcome to all of you watching from around the world. I'm Linda Kincaid. Great to have you with us. Ahead here on CNN Newsroom, once a Trump ally, now charged for mishandling classified information. We'll have the latest on John Bolton's indictment. Plus, Ukraine's president is in Washington just as another meeting between President Trump and President Putin is set. And New York City's mayoral candidates face off. We'll have the best moments from the fiery debate.
Live from Atlanta, this is CNN Newsroom with Linda Kincaid.
President Donald Trump's former national security advisor John Bolton is facing criminal charges over his handling of classified information. He's now the third high-profile Trump critic to be indicted in less than a month. President Trump said he didn't know about the indictment when reporters asked for a reaction.
He's a bad guy. Yeah, he's a bad guy. It's too bad, but it's the way it goes.
Bolton issued a statement slamming the president, saying, quote, "These charges are not just about his focus on me or my diaries, but his intensive effort to intimidate his opponents to ensure that he alone determines what is said about his conduct." He continues, in disagreement, foundational to America's constitutional system and vitally important to our freedom. I look forward to fight to defend my lawsuit and my lawful conduct and to expose his abuse of power. CNN's Caitlin Polance has more from Washington.
Longtime government official John Bolton, he's the latest person indicted by the Justice Department in the administration of Donald Trump. Bolton was a national security advisor in the first Trump presidency, and what he's accused of here is large collection of documents that he should not have been sharing. Prosecutors say that there are 18 different times where he had shared classified information or kept it in an unsecured way, largely in emails, which he had been writing up to himself as diary entries or notes of his time in the Trump White House in 2018 and 2019 as national security advisor. Not only was he keeping those in an AOL account, he was also sharing them with two family members, and prosecutors say that that email account was hacked by a foreign government, Iran, which then would have put the information that John Bolton had after his service in the Trump administration even more at risk. Now, John Bolton does say that he would like to fight this, and he believes that this is weaponization of the Justice Department by Donald Trump against his enemies. And his lawyer, Abby Lowell, the defense lawyer, says the underlying facts in this case were investigated and resolved years ago. These charges stem from portions of Ambassador Bolton's personal diaries over his 45-year career, records that are unclassified, shared only with his immediate family, and known to the FBI as far back as 2021. At this point in time, the federal grand jury has returned the indictment after that lengthy, years-long investigation, and the court now will take a look at it. John Bolton is expected in court on Friday. Back to you.
Joining me now is attorney and legal affairs commentator Ariva Martin. Great to have you with us, Ariva.
Hi, Linda.
So Bolton is now the third Trump critic to be indicted in recent weeks. From a legal perspective, how strong is the DOJ's case against John Bolton, and how unusual is it for someone like Bolton with a national security background to be charged in this way?
Well, it's very unusual, and when you think, Linda, about how serious the charges are and how they may compare with the recent indictment of Tish James, the New York Attorney General, and even James Comey, the former FBI director, both of those individuals were indicted on 2 counts. The counts against Bolton, 18 counts related to the handling of classified material. So if you just compare the number of counts involving Bolton versus James and Comey, clearly appears that the Justice Department believes that it has a strong and credible case against Mr. Bolton. We saw that his home was raided in late August, and according to reports that there were documents removed from his home, sensitive, highly classified documents that should not have been retained by Bolton. But it's interesting when you look at this case, Donald Trump, we know in 2023, was also indicted for the mishandling of classified documents. That case was ultimately dismissed. And although the Justice Department did file an appeal when Trump was reelected, the Justice Department dropped its appeal of the dismissal of that case. So Bolton finds himself indicted on charges very similar to those that Donald Trump himself was indicted on.
Yeah, exactly. In this case, Bolton has put out a statement. He claims his book was cleared by career officials. He also says the FBI was notified when his email was hacked in 2021. And he noted that there were no charges during Trump's first term, despite full awareness. He says this indictment is about intimidating Trump critics. Legally, does that absolve him of criminal liability if classified content was later mishandled?
Definitely doesn't absolve him, but it does raise the question about whether this is a political prosecution, whether this is retribution. We know Donald Trump made it very clear when he was running for a second term that he had a list of individuals who he thought had wronged him and individuals that he was going after. When you look at the fact that he did remove the security detail for Bolton, that he's been very vocal about his negative feelings towards Bolton, particularly after the release of that tell-all book that Bolton wrote, it definitely raises some questions about whether this is just a political prosecution versus one where there is credible evidence that has been found either through that raid that was conducted on Bolton's home or through the ongoing investigation.
And of course, he's been charged under a DOJ now led by Trump allies. Donald Trump did respond to this indictment, calling Bolton a bad person, but admitted that he hadn't read the case. Does that help or hurt the narrative of impartial justice here?
Well, we know Donald Trump likes to engage in plausible deniability. He doesn't like to admit that he knows what's going on with the Justice Department. He makes these cryptic, sometimes, statements about people that he clearly doesn't like, people who've been critical of him, people who he believed should be indicted. And we've seen in several instances, whether it's Tish James or Comey and now Bolton, those individuals somehow end up indicted. And then Donald Trump likes to claim that he had nothing to do with it, he didn't know about it, that it was an independent decision by the Justice Department. But the comments that he made regarding Bolton and the timing of this prosecution raises serious questions and doubts, I would say, about whether the president is, in fact, pulling the strings. And if he was not the person pushing forward this prosecution, it sure looks like his fingers are all over it.
So, Ariva, what should we expect at John Bolton's court appearance later today? And if he is convicted, what kind of sentence could he face?
Well, I would expect that he's going to plead not guilty. We know that the charges under the Espionage Act require there to be a showing by the prosecution of willful and intentional act on the part of a defendant like John Bolton to retain or to transmit classified documents. It can't just be negligence. So we should expect John Bolton to fight these charges, with all of his might, to bring to bear all the resources that he has to push back on these charges. But these are very, very serious charges, 18 counts, each of them carrying considerable prison time if convicted. I mean, over 100 years, theoretically, if there was a conviction on all of the 18 charges. So no doubt that he's going to have to mount a very serious defense to these charges. No indication that this Justice Department is going to back down or that there's even a possibility of a plea bargain or a plea deal. It looks like Bolton is on Trump's list for retribution, and this is the beginning of what was promised.
We will be tuning into this case closely. Ariva Martin, as always, great to get your perspective. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Linda.